people can catch the recording. Okay. So I know Caitlin should be joining us, and I think my sister is going to be popping on at some point. But I think the general consensus that people wanted to talk about time management, right? If I saw that correctly. And we can get in, if anybody has any other specific questions, certainly, well, I'm going to try to keep these all like 30 minutes, 35 minutes or so. So I think that the thing about time management that's really important to understand is that there's no perfect way. So whatever process works best for you is what you need to kind of uncover. And a lot of it's going to be trial and error. But there is a method out there that works. I think people, prescribe to, I have to do a power hour in a 60-minute segment, or I have to do it this way. And then when it doesn't work, they kind of freak themselves out and they're like, this isn't going to work for me. It's too much. And you've got to be flexible. You've got to be willing to find what fits your needs. So what I think is really helpful is trying a couple different methods, because if you're only doing one thing, you're never going to know what other possibilities are. There's a couple things that I think are key to my time management. So I'm just going to go over with those with you guys. And then if you have questions, we can follow up. Hi, Kaylee. You got it working. So the first thing that I think is super key is working from a list. So every Sunday, and I know Amy does something similarly. I take time to plan out like the big bucket items of my week. I go through where I can like fill in people that I'm talking to. At the beginning of the month, I actually do a huge master list, and I try to get somewhere between 50 and 100 people so that I'm not like ever caught in a situation where I'm randomly scrolling through my feed like, who should I message? Who could I reach out to? It doesn't take that much time. If you pull up your friend list and just start making a list of, I'd say 100 people over the course of a month is a really good place to start. But if that seems overwhelming, you can always start with 50. And I worked my way through all 1,400 of my friends. And I haven't necessarily got into all those people because a lot of conversations, I feel I just looked at it today. Like, I look back at July's now, and like 20 of the 100 names are crossed off because I started those 20 conversations, and over the course of the month, people reached out to me and other conversations started organically. But like today, when I needed to start filling in, I needed to invite people today. I was behind on that. I could go back to that master list for July and be like, okay, where did I miss people? So that's been a huge time saver for me because you can get lost scrolling in any capacity. But finding who to talk to is like a specific wormhole that you can spend a lot of time in. So if at the beginning of every month, you make that master list and you have that, and then every Sunday, think through who you want to invite, who you want to connect with, who you want to follow up with. So people on that list could fall into any of those different categories, right? I think it was Steph Davies in a call recently that said, if they don't know me, if they couldn't show somebody who my picture is, if they don't know my kids, I'm not going to ask them to be in a challenge group. I mean, that would be totally weird. But that might be somebody that's appropriate to go on that connect list and be like, hey, it's time to start getting to know so-and-so better. So I try to plot out what I can of my 4 quadrants on Sundays. It just saves me a lot of time. The other things that I make lists about on Sunday is I try to get a game plan of just some ideas to post. Now, some people write out all of their posts for the week. Excuse me, I have this cold. Write out all their posts for the week on a Sunday. Like, my Monday motivation quote is going to be this. My Tuesday motivational post is going to be this. That's a little beyond my scope when it comes to organization. I love it. If that works for you, I know that can be a huge time saver for people. I do try to make out a list of when I'm going to be posting about coaching and when I'm going to post about Shakeology, because those are 2 areas that I can tend to completely forget. I know it seems like, why would I forget those? But I have another Star Diamond coach that she and I like check each other's pages, and she's like, you haven't talked about Shakeology in a month. And I'm like, oh, I haven't. Like, I just don't think about it in that way. So that's another thing that I'll just put like Monday breadcrumbing coaching post. Tuesday, something about Shakeology. Wednesday, something about a challenge group. So just like these little nuances that we all know and love. And because we are in these Top Knot Fit clubs, and because we're in our challenge group, and because we are on Team Top Knot, like Team Page, sometimes I feel like I'm talking about this stuff all the time, but then when I go to my personal feed, I'm not talking about it as nearly as much as I think I do. So making sure that I have one of those deliberate posts each day has been really good for me. I think I talked about this maybe already, but I don't know if it was in this group or it was in that Push to Emerald group that I'm helping with. But I think, Amy, the Josh Coates video, he talks about the 4 posts a day. That's been huge for me. You know, you hear this very vague guideline of you have to be present on social media. You have to be adding value on social media. I listened to this call a couple weeks ago, and he talked about, 4 posts a day. For whatever reason, that's been so easy, hey Sarah, for me to wrap my head around doing 4 posts a day. 2 of which should be lifestyle oriented, which we're all pretty good at because those are going to be the posts about our kids and the posts about being a mom and the posts about our messy house. 2 are going to be lifestyle posts. 1 is going to be something motivational, and 1 should be something that's telling your story. And whether that's telling your story in a way to connect with challengers or telling your story in a way to breadcrumb that coaching opportunity. Instead of thinking, oh my God, I have to be on social media 3 to 5 times a day, what am I going to post about? When you keep it in that framework of I have 4 posts a day, 2 lifestyle, 1 motivational, 1 that's telling your story, your fitness story. I think that that's really cut and dry, and I can mentally in the morning think through, okay, it's first thing in the morning. Do I want to do a motivational post right now? Do I want to go ahead and share part of my story? Either of those, that's just been really, really helpful to me. Other time-saving things. If you guys can get comfortable with using a business activity tracker, do it. I suck at it. It's definitely not my strong suit. Probably 2 times a month, I pull up that Excel sheet and I work from it, and the time it saves me is ridiculous that I don't do it every day. But it's just, I am pen and paper. I try to do the Excel file, and I've got to get better at it, you guys, because it saves so much time. I use a very simple one. I think there's 3 different ones in our team files. And I was doing a one-on-one call today with somebody, and they were like, I don't know what the team files are. So in case you don't know what those are, obviously, when you look in the picture of our cover page picture, there's a button that says files. Check that out. There are 3 different, all of you know that, but just in case somebody in your downline might not, because it never occurred to me that you could have come from challenge groups where we share files and still be a little unsure where files are. So stuff that we think is second nature, remember all the time there's people that have missed parts of these conversations throughout, and they could be clueless. So in the files, there's 3 different business activity trackers that are electronic. They're all Google Docs, so you can take it, put it in your Google Docs, or do your own if you wanted. The good thing about Google Docs is I work off 2 different computers and an iPad, and you can pull it from anywhere. But I have a couple different tabs or pages, and it's pretty simple. I have their name, the date that I reached out to them, a really cool column that says like info, but it just says like, wish them well on pregnancy, talked about 21-day fix, just something to jog my memory, what we talked about, and then I have a column for follow-up. So, like I said, when I use that, it is insane the amount of time that it saves. So I'm going to keep working on that. I wish you would adopt it quicker than I have, because I think the longer you put it off, the harder it is to do, but it is a huge time saver. And then probably my last big thing is decide what your non-negotiables are. For me, the National Wake Up Call, personal development, doing my follow-ups at the end of the day, and making sure that out of all of the areas I don't drop off is inviting. So let me kind of go through those. Like, when I have like a busy travel week with work, or because those are the times that I really get off schedule. when I think about like how I stay consistent and how I manage my time, those are the areas that I make sure that happens. I make sure that on Monday or Tuesday, every single week, I listen to that national wake-up call. If you guys are doing it through the podcast, you can skip through the announcements and skip through the rank advancements, and we're talking about 25 minutes normally. That can be done on Tuesday morning while you're unloading the dishwasher and getting everybody ready for school or ready for work. It's something that you can knock out easily, and I swear to you, it gives you that momentum that you need to like push through it and recommit to this every week. It's a really, really good thing to do for your business, because it's easy when you get off track to be like, I don't even really know where to start. I'll just do it tomorrow. And then you just do it tomorrow. And before you know it, a whole week's gone by or a whole month's gone by. If you make that commitment to listen to the National Wake Up Call every Monday or Tuesday, you're going to have that remotivate yourself to get back into it. It's hard to listen to those things and not be fired up. So make that happen every week by Tuesday evening. Okay. It's a really good thing to do. The personal development thing, I swear to you, it is the backbone of moving forward here, because not only does it push you out of your comfort zone and makes things like inviting more approachable, and makes you more confident when you're talking to people, and makes you realize you don't have to have all the answers. We're here to help people. We're not here to like completely solve and fix their problems in one message response. Okay. It's all right to say, I don't know, let me think about that. Let me think about some options and I'll get back to you. You know, I think that reading through personal development really helps get you confident to handle objections and handle situations that you may initially struggle with a little bit. And it always gives you something to talk about. Even if you are feeling overwhelmed and flustered, most of us are talking to other moms and other females like in our age range that have a lot of the same emotions and feelings and struggles that you do. If you were doing personal development every day, I guarantee you're going to end or start your day with nuggets of things that you find inspiring, or that you want to share with other people, or that you could share with a challenger that might be having a struggle. So I always make that time for personal development every day. For me, I don't like going to bed with having follow-ups that I owe people. It's different if I've sent out a bunch of in emails that day and then all of a sudden I'm inundated and I have 20 responses. I'm not talking about those. But if someone has asked me for information about a program, or if someone says, hey, I think I'm ready to order, I don't go to bed until those emails are sent out. It's not always fun to do at the end of the day, but it's one of those things that as soon as my kids go to bed, I get my computer out, and we're talking about typically those like critical type messages, 3 to 5. I'm not sending like 15 messages at the end of the day, but I'm not going to let someone ask me for information or has made a decision to purchase a program or wants information about coaching, like those critical messages. I don't let those sit. I make sure that I finish them at the end of the day, because then I never feel like I'm like have all of this stuff in front of me. You have to kind of prioritize who you're giving your time to, and the people that are asking for your help and asking to be in your challenge group or asking to be on your team, that should be your top priority, who you follow up with. If sometimes other coaches, I know that several of you like work with other coaches in your challenge groups and your success partners, I think a really good piece of advice is don't feel so married to those relationships that you are spending all of your time and energy doing 150 messages on Facebook Messenger back and forth with 3 other people. Yes, it's an important part. You have to have that collaboration, but I know sometimes that can feel really overwhelming, and you're like, I am on my phone all the time answering questions, and none of this is moving my business forward. This is all of us just talking about stuff. So I want to caution you guys, those relationships are super important. It's going to help you grow. You have to have success partners. You have to have people to run challenge groups with. That's really important. But if and when those start to feel too needy or it's just overwhelming you, don't be afraid to set boundaries. Amy, Caitlin, and I have a thread that at times can have hundreds of messages in it. And there's been times we've all had to be like, okay, we are like talking about the weather and we're not talking about anything business related. And we need to like stay on top of each other about that. And it shouldn't all be all business all the time, but I think you guys know what I mean. So if that's something that's sucking time from you, then be aware of that and don't be afraid to, handle that however you want to. And then lastly, when I am super short on time, one area that I try to make a non-negotiable is that 2 a day, 2 invites, and for me, it's still not invite to coaching. I just stink at it. I mean, my coaches come from my challengers. It's another area but I think challengers make great coaches, so I struggle with that. I'm not going to ever probably recruit 10 new coaches a month. I've gotten in 2 to 4 coaches a month every month in 2016. And I think that's a really big win. Where I'm getting in some of my goals, and Amy and Sarah know, but I have girls in this push group that their goal is to recruit like 20 to 30 new coaches a month. Like, I'm not sure that that's ever going to be me. But I do probably still need to actively work on, presenting the coaching opportunity to like that dream team, to somebody that's not a challenger, but I just really think would rock this business. I kind of rambled. I try to make a non-negotiable that I share or invite this opportunity, whether that's as a challenger or as a coach, twice a day. Because I think when you stop those conversations, that's kind of when you can dig yourself in a hole and be like, oh, I haven't even asked anybody to be in a challenge group, and it's the end of the month, and now I have to scramble for Success Club points. So if you are slammed, to me, that's an area that if you can do that twice a day, you can say to somebody, hey, I'm running a new challenge group. I think you would like it because XYZ, and you guys know how I feel about inviting and making it about them. Keep that up, and I think that your business will keep moving forward. There's times that it doesn't feel as overwhelming. There's ebbs and flows with this, like everything in life. But I think doing some of the stuff I talked about tonight and fine-tuning certain areas will keep it manageable for you. You never want to feel like the stress of this outweighs the joy of this, so you've got to find that happy medium. I have said this, and I will always say this so far, maybe I'll change my mind down the road, but I've not once yet had a day that I've thought, screw it, this is just too much work for me. And I work a lot at it, but I find those pockets, I make my time worthwhile. Sometimes it means sacrificing sleep in the morning. I'm a really bad nap time worker, but I do try to make myself do a couple things during nap time. When I have dead time, like I showed up to the dentist office 20 minutes early today, which I'm never early. So I was able to do my 4 dailies in that 20-minute span. I could have easily listened to the radio station that I liked and scrolled Facebook. And I was like, I got out my list, I had my notebook with me, and I knocked it out in 20 minutes. So things like that, and taking advantage of time and realizing that putting that constant effort in really does make it more manageable as you get down the road. Because a lot of the holdup too is just, if you're newer, it's uncomfortable still trying to figure out what to post and how to talk to people about things, so it takes longer. The more you do it, the more concise it's going to be, the more confident you're going to feel at it, and it just starts to happen like clockwork. Okay? Most of you guys are muted now, but if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I feel like I'm doing a focus group, Sarah, and I say, not all at once. I've done 3 videos today. I feel like I can't remember when I've repeated myself to who. Anything? Did I mute you guys, or did you all mute yourselves?
That's why I muted myself.
Okay. We talked about this last time, and I haven't put up a poll. I do have a list of other leader coaches that are going to start guest speaking for us. So what we'll plan to do is keep this up every other week. I think we're going to move forward with a Tuesday evening like we're doing now, and then a Thursday afternoon, because then I think that we have a pretty split team amongst people that can work from home and are home during the day and a midday meeting is better, and then people that work full time in an evening meeting is better. So that kind of plays to both strengths. But what we'll do is most likely our Tuesday night meeting most of the time will be a true team meeting, where we can, do some housekeeping and hear from each other, where our Thursday meetings are going to be hearing from other coaches. I'm always going to ask you guys what you want this to be on, where you want guidance. Obviously, when we have like a leader coach joining us, I want to make sure we have as much participation as possible since they are taking time out of their schedule. But we'll always record them and share them. And I will not play music because apparently that's what blocks out sound when I do live Zooms and I talk the whole time and nobody can hear me. So, yeah.
This isn't necessarily about time management, but could you give an example when you say like a post about your story? Like, I think I have trouble, like, I don't know how to share like a little bit about it. I don't know how to share like if it's too much, because if this is like a daily thing, how do you like spice that up? Because I feel like I don't have a super amazing like dramatic story that's like necessarily that great to reread on a daily basis. I feel like it's more.
So yeah, I think that one thing, and there was a national wake up call a couple weeks ago. She spoke to this and I thought it was great. Like, don't feel like you have to have like, this huge weight loss transformation or this huge financial situation where like you needed this job to save your family and then it did. I think that we see those big stories and then we're like, I don't even really know how to talk to people. But more times than not, there's going to be people that relate to you and that are your situation and that is going to relate to somebody that has that ginormous transformation, right? So things that I have done that I've talked about where I feel like I'm sharing my story is sharing why the challenge group, like that. It always comes back to a couple things for me. I'm talking about the challenge group. I'm talking about personal development, and I think I'm only talking about those two things. Maybe I need to expand it, but I keep talking about those two things, and I talk about them in a way that is when I first was drawn into this community and how it changed my ability to manage my stress. And I might tell that story in a lot of words in one post, but then in another post, like a week or so later, it could simply be, I know it's going to be a long day. Daddy's traveling today. Thank goodness for my accountability group so I could get my workout in. So it's still the same story, but I'm making it relevant to where I am at that moment. If you want, I don't talk about the financial side of things a lot. If and when I have, it's been things like going to Costco and paying for cash for my groceries, because at Costco, you have to use, they just switched it from American Express.
Visa now, yeah.
So I had to, and Nick has an American Express. I don't. So I used to have to get his American Express to go to Costco, and it was a pain in the butt. So being able to talk about like paying for my groceries or paying for Costco in cash was a good share that I didn't feel like was like icky about money, but it gives some insight into how I've evolved in the Beachbody world in terms of coaching. I talk about the friendships. I talk about the support. I talk about getting to, I loved being a teacher. So think, Margo, about like what you did with your other jobs and like things that you loved. Like, are there aspects of that you find, like whether it's the competition and pushing yourself in new ways? So I always like think about things that I really love about this and like why. Because I was not into home fitness and I was not into any of this. So what are the parts of it that not only like motivate me, but fire me up to share with others?
That's great.
That's kind of what I need by breadcrumbing and sharing that stuff.
Great.
Margo, one thing that helped me was like I literally made a list of things that drew me into a challenge group, things that Megan said to me that invited me into a challenge group, words that like stuck out at me from her post like from a year and a half ago, and then same thing for coaching. So I had like the exact same like what kind of got me into the coaching world, and then I also made a list of just words that like describe me and that inspire me, and I go off of that list a lot, like, and I try to kind of like actually in the beginning of the month like relive all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I realized then too, through personal development too, how much I grow and how much has changed. And it kind of spurs me in those type of posts at least.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just check my success pod about this. Just a tidbit. Personal development for me, I'm all audio. And so the girls were really saying that they didn't have like inspiring quotes to post or anything like, you know, other than just like Pinterest stuff. And just something quick I do is literally talk text into my notepad. I like pause my Audible, talk text something that was cool, and then that's it. And then I have like, I have a running list of probably 20 quotes from all sorts of books that I've read. And then whether it's just I make it on Word Swag and it's just an inspiration quote, or I can just talk to how that transformed, you know, something that I was dealing with or whatever. So just some other tips.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think that's, and maybe we can kind of toss around too. I know there's different like techniques out there to kind of like think through things like your story and your niche and like knowing who you're talking to and being really clear about that. So my story is not going to relate to everybody, you know, and so you've got to be really clear on who you're trying to attract and who is on the other end of that message. And there are some things that we can certainly share within Top Knot that I think gives really good direction on how to think through that, because it's definitely helped me, because I was thinking the same thing. Like, I don't have this amazing, you know, I was telling somebody that I got into fitness when I've run, you know, all of these marathons and half marathons. They're like, well, of course you like that. You like to work out. But I always didn't like to work out. I mean, I was thinking about that tonight. When Nick and I first went to a running club, I used to hide behind the rack of clothes in the store, hoping that they would sneak out the door and I could get in the car. I mean, that is an honest to God story. So, I mean, this was not always my life. So I keep thinking, like, what was pushing me in this direction? Obviously, a lot of things before Beachbody, but there was something in Beachbody that kind of like really revamped this for me. So, you know, I think it's a constant reflection of what you like about it, what it brings out in you, how it makes you feel, and then think about why, you know, what's the why behind that?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anybody have anything else?
I would add too, like I think you said something about that people don't want to hear it over and over. It's really important to note that Facebook, they don't at all. Yeah. I know you feel like that because you share the same thing over and over, but it's like as you add friends and your friends see, like, it has to be the exact, you know, like if you posted Sunday night at 8 o'clock, every single Sunday night at 8 o'clock, the percentage of like the algorithm that they do, they're not actually even going to see it again next Sunday. So
yeah, we were just saying this
all the time, but it's not necessarily like that all the time.
I think it's something like 6% of your total friends see your post. So, you know, at 15, it's crazy. Like, we think like we're inundating people with stuff. I remember once, I think that Danny's sitting with Sarah, probably he can maybe back this up. Oh, he's over there. But I was like, I feel like I'm on Facebook all of the time. This was a while ago. He might say it different now. But Sarah was in my accountability group. Sarah was in like our, you know, team page group. And so Danny asked me something about Beachbody. I'm like, I'm talking about it all the time. And he was like, no, you're not. Because he's not, like, he's only seeing my personal feed. We're talking about so much of the stuff in our challenge groups and in our team page that it does feel like we're talking about it all the time. But the chances of your friends really actually seeing it and the people that you want to see it all the time is not what we feel like it is. So, yeah. And I used to block people from my post. I was taking time, like, and blocking the 3 or 4 people that was like continually good friends, but that were giving me crap about it. And I just remember that the other day. And I have no idea at what point I stopped blocking everybody, but eventually I'm like, oh, it doesn't matter. You know, they're going to unfollow me or they're going to like it. And you never know how people are going to react to stuff. So I think we'll pull together some of those videos that give really good guidance on, you know, some of the techniques that you can do. Your story. And if you, who was that girl that did that call? It was that Rosa. I almost said Rosa Parks. That's obviously not it. So, you know, the group in Canada that did the call like maybe 3 weeks ago, Rosa.
I can look for it.
Tons of good information on sharing your story.
Okay.
Well, now that I've clarified that Rosa Parks was not on the National Wake Up Call, we are right at like 35 minutes. So, and we're going to get kicked off in 6 minutes anyway. So, anything else?
I'm just like dying looking at Amy rubbing that belly. It is the
Oh, God.
cutest
Can you
thing.
see the whole thing?
No, I can't see the whole thing, but I just love that. You look great. I'm so
Oh,
happy.
my God. Thanks. That's nice of you.
I know. Hang in there.
So
But
over it.
I know, but it's like the best.
Casey in our team is probably like having her child today. I think they stripped her into
So
this.
exciting.
So. All right, guys. Thanks so much for hopping on. We will get some stuff together, like I talked about, and we'll share this in the team page. Okay.
Thank you.
Great. See you guys.